Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, guys. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson, and this is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys. Now, before we go any further, I've got a bad case of the flu, and Sarah's got a bit of it. So if you hear any coughing, wheezing, sneezing, shortness of breath, that's just the way it's going to be. The show must go on, and we're here to deliver.
Right.
Okay, now,
Yeah,
what are we doing tonight, Sarah?
So tonight we are reviewing that cult classic, the slasher movie called Prom Night. That was released in 1980.
Yeah, not the later version, which was done in 2008, was it?
Yeah.
Which was nothing like this movie.
Yeah, and vice versa for all the other ones that came after this one.
Yeah, this is a good movie, this one. Actually,
although there's
it'll unfold later.
Although there's some interesting thing about that.
Yeah.
All four movies, except for the remake,
Wow,
that Brock Simpson, who was a son of the producer from the first one, he starred in all four movies as either a supportive role or just as a casting extra. Or in this case, in the fourth one, he becomes the slasher killer in that one.
Well, bugger me.
Yeah, so he got a lot of practice in.
Well, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. So anyway, as you guys are well aware, this is one of Jamie Lee Curtis's other main roles, where she plays the final girl in this, not necessarily a final girl, but the main scream queen survivor. How's that? Yeah.
Yeah, but she actually really survives.
Actually, it's
we'll talk the story out later. But anyway, the point is that Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, I was going to talk about it later, but Jamie Lee Curtis got this role because she had been in what was that other movie called? Oh yes,
Halloween.
She's already established herself as a scream queen, and she wasn't disappointing in this movie either.
Yes, I mean, despite her appearances, I know I mentioned this in the past with the original Halloween, that she kind of pulls it off for me when she's playing these roles.
She's like the girl next door. She's a very attractive lady, okay, don't get me wrong. But she doesn't look like she comes straight out of a beauty salon. She doesn't look like a Barbie. She doesn't look like a plastic face. She looks like a natural, wholesome, young female. And she fits the role really good.
Yeah, and these days, I think filmmakers nowadays are trying their absolute hardest to go back to original, not over-the-top, fantastic, gorgeous women to play the role.
There's nothing wrong with those
But
either.
natural beauty is what I mean.
Natural beauty, yeah, and that's what Jamie Lee Curtis says. She's a very attractive young lady of natural beauty, and she looks like the girl next door type. Really hot, screaming out, "Oh, love me" body. She's a beautiful body.
Yeah, seeing during the 80s and possibly the 90s, there were a lot of, eye candy.
Yeah, they did. They were too much on eye candy and not too much substance in some of the earlier movies. But I think they're getting away from it in the 80s. They're getting back to substance.
And by the 2000s, they're trying to go back to original beauty. Girl Next Door type a little bit.
Well,
maybe
not always, but
or trying to include that more and more actors who may have different substances. Like if you're overweight, you still can play a very leading role in this.
Exactly right.
And stuff like that.
Well, you look
and if you looked at the what's that movie called? That it's including more and more people that deal with real issues. Like there's one called I can't remember the movie, but it deals with aliens invasion, where the aliens can sense or hear your movements, and it deals with a girl and her family, and the girl in reality is actually deaf, and she has to use sign language throughout the movie.
I don't know that one.
So in reality, she's a deaf person, but directors went ahead and used her.
Wow, interesting. Well, reality, a deaf mute playing a deaf mute. Well, there you go then. Do you memorise your lines? So, anyway, irrespective. Now, okay, I'll do my usual bit now, folks. Okay, produced by Peter Simpson, directed by Paul Lynch, Story by Robert Guza, Guza Jr. Screenplay by William Gray. Now, the budget for this was, back in those days, I believe, 1.5 million, and it box office in a short period of time quite well. And the figures I've got cumulative figures are 14.8 million, and it was deemed to be, as this was a Canadian production, or mainly, and that was the highest grossing film at that point in time. So they did quite well for this one. Now, it's filmed in Toronto. Yeah, I won't go too much into it at the moment because I'll talk about production stuff later. Blah blah blah. Do you want to take over now and do your bit and telling the tales of woe and everything?
Yeah, sure. It starts. Let me see. It starts with a bunch of kids playing in an abandoned school or hospital or whatever, and they're playing a hide and seek game where they yell "Killer's coming! Killer's coming!" all that stuff.
Well, actually, they don't hide and seek. I think when the other girl joined them, they started to tease her. Then they started the kill thing.
Yeah. See. Then
Teasing her, yeah.
Kim, Alex, and their sister Robin, they're walking home from school, and Robin wants to play with the other with
your brother. Was it? My brother was in there, or
no? It was a boy named Nick who was a friend, and Wendy, and let me see, Kelly and Jude, and they were all playing hide and seek, and Kim goes back for her geography book or whatever, and asks her two other siblings to head off home without her.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Naughty me. Yeah.
So Alex goes on his merry way, but Robin stays around, and she then gets picked on when she gets the school, the abandoned school, and the kids backed her up against a window. This is on the third or second floor.
Third floor, and the window gave away.
Yeah, see, this is an abandoned, broken down place, and anything could break. And in the end, the window breaks, and she falls, and she dies. And the kids, they swear to each other that they would not reveal it. Although Nick wanted to go run to the police and probably tell what they did.
Yeah,
but. And I imagine that they were not supposed to be there because it's probably one of those things where...
trespassing, probably.
Yeah, it's probably one of those things where if you're not allowed to be there, your parents will probably punish you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so Wendy suggests that they all pledge not to reveal a thing.
So they hid it.
Yeah.
They hid the fact that they were there and they found this little girl's body. But,
yeah, so...
When the little girl's body was there, you see a shadow pass by. Or over a body or whatever.
Yeah.
And you don't know who it is.
Yeah.
You don't know whether it's one of the kids or somebody, or an aeroplane going overhead. You got no idea what it is.
Yeah, only we know a witness was present to the death, to Robin's death.
Yeah.
So the next later that evening, her dad, mum, and her two siblings, they come to the murder scene. The police were there too.
Of course.
And the mother breaks down because her youngest daughter got killed and all that stuff.
Boo-hoo.
And the policeman said they found the suspect. And
yeah, they believe they found the suspect because I think he'd been living in the building or something.
Chased him down, and his car crashed, and he got disfigured very badly.
Yeah, and he was put in hospital, then in jail or nut house or something or other.
Yeah, and of course, so 6 years later, I think it was.
Yeah, 6 years later, they're precocious teenagers getting ready for a prom, hence the name of the movie.
Yeah, on the anniversary of their sister's death. Does that sound a bit creepy?
Good timing.
Or what? I'm a little surprised that their dad, who's the principal, didn't object to this.
Excuse me.
Well,
why would he?
I don't know. I think celebrating on the anniversaries of someone's death is not really nice.
The anniversary of the kid's death is only relative to that person's family.
No.
Not the rest of the community.
I guess you're right.
So don't blame the principal. That could have been the weekend in that year. Then the prom's going to be, whether it's going to be a Friday night or a Saturday night, doesn't really matter. That's the day it's going to be, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, so anyway, the family is still grieving. Everyone's has their own set of problems. Like, Kim's mum is still going through, a little depression.
Yeah, 6 years and she's still grieving for her lost one. Most people would get over it and bury it a little bit by now, but no.
Well, it's hard for when a kid outlives. Is it how it goes?
It's really
Outlives
bad
their
when
parents.
a parent outlives a child.
Oh yeah, the parent
Yes,
outlives their
I
child.
know this,
Sorry.
but the point is, 6 years, you can't carry it on for the next 6, 10, 15, 20, 40, 50, 60, 80 years.
Anyway, moving on. So,
Don't get over it. She needs therapy.
so each of the members who kept the secret get seen calls or phone call, I should say,
Well,
from an unknown source.
it's not quite an obscene, but it's just a scary call. Like
Yeah.
that. Do you still like to play? Oh, no, something like that. It's
Yeah.
not really a scary call, or not as creepy stalking call. It's just like, ooh, strange person.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
of course, like it whispers, "Do you still like to play games? And tonight is my turn."
Yeah.
And each one of them assumes it's probably from
One of
probably
their friends
a
teasing
friend
them or something,
or
yeah.
or a boyfriend or just the horrible boy the horrible boy at school, Lou, who was a practical
You're paying the bum.
pain in
yeah.
the bum.
Yeah.
who's
Bert.
who's practically the big jerk in school.
Yeah, actually, the guy he played a really good role there. He played a really good jerk. I mean, he's probably nothing like that in real life.
Yeah, I think you were talking about some guys at your.
Oh, when I was at school, I had guys like this, arrogant, sort of nasty guys who were fools of themselves, thought they were great and strutting their stuff. And it was really, I could see where this school is coming from because I went through something similar when I was a kid.
Yeah. Anyway, Nick is the only one who didn't receive the call because he's hanging out the door with his dad. His dad's the detective or policeman
That's
or
right,
officer
yeah.
in charge, and he was the one who arrested the possible guy who may have committed the Robin's murder, supposedly. But it's not true, of course.
Wrongful arrest.
Anyway, Nick and Judy and Kelly, they're no longer tied with Wendy anymore, meaning they've decided to become friends with Alex and Kim because they probably either have a guilty conscience or they just feel like they should owe it up to them.
Well, yes, somewhat.
And Nick is now in a relationship with Kim, which is not in a nice way. And they're planning on going to prom together. He's actually 17. He was originally dating Wendy, but I think he wanted to break it up with her.
Yeah, somewhat.
But she doesn't take it that way.
No, not very nice at all.
No. So anyway, she continues trying to beg or protest or try to get him to see reason that it's not over between them. Yada yada yada. She doesn't see it that way, or he doesn't see it that way.
Like that.
So anyway, moving on. So when they go to school, meet the janitor, who we think is very creepy.
He's a creepy guy. I'm not quite sure. He's an alcoholic, I think. Mm-hmm. Or that meant he drinks too much. But personality-wise, I think he's a bit mentally not quite right.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do anything in the picture.
Yeah.
In the whole movie, he doesn't do anything, but he just looks creepy. Everyone thinks he's a creepy guy. And everyone thinks, I wonder if he's the guy behind the scenes killing these kids and stuff. But
Anyway, throughout this scene, Kim witnessed some weird stuff. Like she witnessed her brother, Lou, trying to assault her while her brother tries to fight him off.
Oh, yeah,
and they get into a horrible fight, and Lou gets
and he
expelled.
had a mask on, didn't he?
Yeah, a creepy black.
A bit like a ski mask.
Sort of ski mask.
Yeah, but yeah.
Only not like a stocking. It's more of a
ski mask.
just a sock over his head.
Yeah, like a ski mask. Yeah. It's like a long beanie type thing. It's got eye holes in it. Yeah, a ski mask. Yeah.
It plays a very relevant thing in this movie, obviously, because it is used much later by the killer.
Yeah, the killer's running around in a mask. Looks very similar to this one. I wonder where he got it from.
He probably borrowed it.
I know where he got it from. His father. I think his dad threw in the garbage bin.
Yeah, his father threw in the garbage bin, and I guess we see much later in the principal's office the mask disappears.
Yeah.
I don't know who stole it yet. Anyway,
The cleaner. Yeah.
so meanwhile, Kim also witnessed the mirror in the girls' bathroom smashed up, and a big chunk of it is
Disappeared.
taken. Like,
Interesting.
yeah, a very knife-sized one.
I wonder what the relevance is for that. Maybe because the little girl fell through a window and that was glass involved there, and they used the mirror.
Well, I
as
think
glass?
that when he was cutting out school year photos.
Yes, I know.
In the yearbook, whatever, and he kind of put
A little piece of glass.
chinks of glass
Oh,
on the
mirror,
and glue and stick them onto the
Yeah,
photos
but what I'm
and
saying
send
is,
them into the
But why
locker
is he
rooms.
using a mirror? Is that because the little girl who died 6 years earlier went through broken glass, and he said glass and mirror made the same sort of thing? Maybe that's
know.
yeah.
I know it seems sinister. That's why I think.
Does.
So anyway, so we're on to the night of the prom thing, and everyone is getting organized. Of course, and Kim is going to be prom queen,
queen.
and Nick is going to be prom king.
Whatever, yeah.
Which is a bit weird to me. I always thought when on the night you vote on it.
Well, no, in some of the movies, we're in Australia, we don't have proms over here.
No,
but what
really?
I was going to say is, in some movies, it's voted on before the night, but it's mentioned on the night.
Yeah, big surprise.
Yeah,
Woohoo.
yeah, and some of them they actually vote on the night when they pass things around. So I think probably both might be acceptable in American schools. I don't know, but
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have proms over here. We have for school formals and stuff,
Yeah.
but a bit different.
Yeah, I think Mike and I were discussing formals just yesterday.
I
And
was dragged to mine. I didn't want to go.
yeah, and I almost saw my friends had asked me to go to the the formal. I said no because I heard it from my sister who went to an actual formal.
Boring as bats
She was
be,
bored and she thought that the music was not.
The adults chose the music. The kids didn't like the music.
Yeah,
and they
no
were-
point
yeah.
going really. To be honest, it's not exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a DJ or anything like that.
See, mine was different. See, I went to a private school, an all-boys school. Now, a prom of all boys would have been very strange. Okay, but there was a local girls' school down the road, and they thought, oh, what we'll do, we'll have a formal, and we'll get so many boys from this school and so many girls from that school, and put them in this place there, and have a nice night together. And each person was allocated the partner, whether the females were given the boy or a boy was given the female, whatever, and that was your partner for the night. I didn't want to go to a stupid formal of some girl I'd never met before. So I didn't want to go. But I was forced to go. I met this beautiful young lady. She was Asian. Her name was Lucy. First time I saw her, and it was the last time I saw her. And we had nothing in common. And I didn't like dancing anyway. Not the sort of dancing they wanted. I mean, there was old-time dancing. Hello. We were 15 years old, 16 years old, and we're doing old-time dancing instead of modern dancing. Why the hell would you bother? And we were forced to wear our school uniforms, as the boys anyway. The girls could wear evening clothes, but the guys, we have to wear our school uniforms.
Yeah.
Oh, what a load of crap.
Yes. And anyway, I didn't bother going anyway. I listened to my sister on this count, and I didn't want to go alone either, even though. Anyway, moving back on. So the prom is in full swing. There's even an interesting scene where Kim and Nick have an interesting dance number, which I like.
Oh, yeah. Did Saturday Night Fever come out about that time?
Yeah, I think so.
I think they got some ideas. Let's do a dance routine. That was before Bollywood came on the scene, folks.
Yeah, well, bear in mind, Mike, I think disco was in back.
Oh, yeah, it was very
around
popular.
that
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So it was a pretty much big influence.
And I must admit, Jamie Lee Curtis and
yeah, she was a great dancer.
and the guy, what's his name, whatever, They did a pretty good dance routine.
Yeah, story
Yeah,
is that the guy who was playing Nick
yeah.
Casey, he didn't know anything about dancing. Jamie was not apart from being an actress, she was also a skilled dancer.
Yeah.
And so they had to get a choreography actor to
choreographer, yeah.
do the scenes where we don't see his face.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he did the scenes where we don't see his
They're
face.
close enough to see him. The other one, someone else
Yes.
is doing the dancing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
what a good way to do
So
it.
they swap back and forth between
Yeah.
this sort of thing.
And actually, I didn't use a steady cam for that either.
Really?
No, it was all yeah. Yeah, they had ordinary, and they actually a lot of these guys were students doing this
I see.
as well, and they had never done this sort of stuff before, and they got a pretty good result.
True. So anyway, after the dance routine, Wendy is with Lou, and Lou was expelled after that fight I mentioned, or not expelled, maybe suspended.
I don't know if it's suspended or expelled. I cannot remember.
Because of after that
Might
fight.
have been suspended because he did show up at the prom.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So anyway, Wendy and Lou have a plan to humiliate Kim and Nick on the during prom, and they
Yeah, she wanted to get Nick back as her boyfriend. I think he said
yeah,
earlier.
on several. I think we did see a scene where she's talking with him, and in a sexy, flirtatious way. But Kim and Nick didn't go any further with this one.
Yeah, it's only for tonight. Yeah, that sort of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
what a rubbish.
Anyway, so let me see. Meanwhile, Kelly and her boyfriend Drew are trying to make out or try to go all the way.
And she was a virgin and she changed her mind.
Yeah, and Drew left her to her demise by the killer, and the killer slashes her throat.
With a piece of mirror. I wonder where you got that from.
And he says, now. And then the next scene we see, I think we see Drew, Drew, with another girl.
Yeah, that was quick, wasn't it?
Yeah, no surprise.
He wasn't
Anyway,
a bad looking guy. He wasn't that great, though.
now and Judy, who is now whose date is this nerdy guy named Slick or Stu.
Slick.
Or whatever. Anyway,
he was up himself.
yeah, they're making out in his van.
Hey, nice van, guys. Great van. I mean, we used to call them shaggin' wagons in Australia, but no. Well, that's what they are.
Yeah, and they are making out, and he has some marijuana.
Marijuana. He had a box full of.
No, it was actually a fake book. One of those.
I know, fake book, but he had a box. Okay, fake book, full of joints. I mean, this guy must be loaded. I mean, it must be about 20 or 30 joints wrapped up, ready to roll, or already rolled.
Yeah. Anyway, as she's smoking one, the door to the van opens, and the killer slashes her badly.
Yeah, and across the throat. Oh dear.
And eventually, Slick tries to get away, but eventually the killer steers his car right into the cliff.
Yeah, right to the cliff.
Yeah.
And he went over the cliff in his little van, and everybody died. Well, she was already dead, and Slick died, and the killer got away.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that no one hears the noise inside.
They weren't next door to the building. I keep telling you, it could have been several hundred yards away, and they went over a cliff. The noise of the accident, the van going over the cliff, would have been bouncing off the cliff and going in the other direction.
Yeah, another thing I should mention, the detective, that's Nick's dad, he's present at the prom, and I guess he's trying to make sure that nothing happens to any of the prom goers, but unfortunately he's not doing a good job at it.
Well, no, we're three down. We're three down. No one.
Let me see, about two down.
Two down. Yeah, two down. So
Two more to go.
Number 3 to come out very shortly. Wendy,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Next?
Wendy gets annoyed with Lou and decides to head to the bathroom to apply a little bit more mascara.
Exactly.
And while she's applying, she hears someone approaching and says, "Do you have any mascara?"
And there's no answer.
And eventually he turns on the light, and this is where we have this awesome 7-minute chase scene.
Yes. Yes. Aha.
And this is my favorite scene
Through
where
the hallways and classrooms and science labs and
car labs, whatever.
oh yeah, well, you had a workshop there. Yeah,
Yeah,
they had shop there. You know, for
for
once we were into cars and stuff. We never had that. So that would have been great. I mean, all the guys would have loved to have worked on cars. Well, we had bloody woodwork.
I think my nephew would like that if when he gets older. Anyway.
Yeah, my little grandson. He's 4 years old and he's wrapped in anything with wheels.
And cars.
Ordinary cars, monster trucks, real trucks. You got wheels. He loves it. Yeah.
Yes. So there's she does eventually. She races for the whole school. Well, not all of it, because most of the doors are locked because I guess
No, not most of the ones in the part of the building that should not have been accessible.
Yes.
That way they can control the people coming and going out the other side of the building.
Yes. So no kids would be able to access those rooms.
We'll go through there. People go in there and steal things, or kids do naughty things out the back.
She eventually does go into the janitor's closet, and she tries to hide there, but then she's
doing really good too.
Yeah, but then she discovers Kelly's dead body, and she screams. She heads out the door, and the big mistake, she heads face first
to the
killer.
Yeah.
And he slices her with the axe. Whash.
Yeah. Well, so that's a good thing about this guy. Now you look at Jason.
Yes.
He uses a machete in just about every killing he does.
Yes.
This guy has used broken glass. He uses an axe. He does not care. He drove this guy's car over a cliff. See, he's not picky. He'll kill you anyway.
So anyway, then the detective hears news that the killer that that escaped from the mental institute
has been
arrested, and he was heading across the border. Hint, hint. He was not the killer at the scene.
He was 50 kilometres away or something.
Yes, meaning he was no longer there.
Or 50 miles away.
I mean, not there anyway. So he was heading towards the border before to
get away from everybody.
Yeah.
So he can make a new life. If this was in Toronto or Canada, he might have been going to the US border, going to sneak over. Yeah.
Yeah. So and meanwhile, while this is happening, Kim is looking for her father or mother, and they're not there. And we begin to wonder:
are they dead?
Or they're dead, or are they the suspects?
Or the killer? Or dad the killer? Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yes.
I think they got tired of this prom went home.
What?
I reckon they got tired. The mum was mentally disturbed and everything.
Yeah.
So Dad
it's not exactly a good time to party for her. So,
and there's other people in our place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was time to crown the prom king and queen. So they get lined up and head backstage.
Yeah.
And
So they're going to come out. They're going to draw the curtains, and they're going to come out one from the left, one from the right.
yeah.
Here they are.
So
Lovely.
So they sit in some matching thrones across from each other from different parts of the stage.
I sit in a throne every day and read a book.
Funny.
Oh, toilet, you guys.
So anyway, Lou and his friends spring their plan into action. They jump on Nick. They knock him out and
tie him up.
And they grabbed Lou grabs Nick's jacket
and his crown.
And he sits in the position where Nick would have been. And
waiting.
And while Nick is placed hidden under cover somewhere,
in a corner,
while the others prepare for the signal, all that stuff.
And all of a sudden,
the killer approaches. He sees the behind of Lou.
Yeah, doesn't see his face.
Yeah, it's all dark, and he could not see what color of his hair is. It's dark.
Dark and shadows, yeah. So,
eventually, he swings down his axe and chops his head off.
What a nice clean cut. This guy should have been a wood chopper.
Yes, and the head rolls across the stage, and the crowd screams and panics.
Actually, that was a good shot there. I mean, head rolls down there, and then you got the head sitting up there, sitting upright, which is quite easily done. But anyway, it looked really effective.
And the next scene we see that somehow along the lines while slicing, he ends up slicing a few cables that were probably connected to the music sound system. That it started replaying some of the music from disco music before. And it made him passed out because there was a bit of electrical currents.
Yeah, he got a jolt himself.
Yes.
Or him or herself, yes.
Yes. So the guests begin to panic, and then Kim races back behind the stage
run,
to find Nick, and Nick is okay, but he's got a very damaged probably ankle. So Kim,
he couldn't walk properly.
Yeah, so Kim helps him down, and the killer appears and before they can leave the place, and he starts trying to swing at Nick.
But he's not trying to hurt her.
Yeah, and a couple times Kim tries to block and tries to fight him off as best she can.
Yeah, but he doesn't try to hurt her.
No, he's...
So I wonder, there's something, is it mum? Is it dad? We're starting to wonder.
She then eventually he loses grip on the axe, and Kim gets it, and we watch the boys, Nick and the killer, fight. Slowly turn, twist, throw.
And she's getting ready to try hit the guy with I think the blunt end of the axe head. You didn't want to cut his head open, but just enough to knock him out.
Well, actually, it was the sharp bit, the axe.
No, I think she turned the round, so the blunt. She didn't want to cut his head off. She just want to knock him out.
Yeah, eventually she does eventually get his in the head, and the guy clutches his head, and she looks into his eyes and sees who he is.
She recognised the eyes.
Yeah, I think he whispers Kim, and he stumbles away, and Kim and Nick follow a little, not too closely behind, and the killer slowly tries to leave the building. Leaves whatever, and he then hear a flashback.
And the police are there.
Yeah, and we hear the flashbacks from the kids bullying Robin, and shouting, "Killers are coming, killers!" And he's eventually Kim appears and says to the policeman, "Don't shoot him." And of course, the detective doesn't understand. He thinks that the killer is dangerous and says, "Kim, step back." But eventually, the killer collapses, and
he's not very well.
And then she cradles his head, and she then takes off the mask and sees it's Alex, her brother.
Yeah.
And who was in a flashback, we find he was the witness to the crime.
He saw it.
Yeah, and he whispers to Kim that they did it, they killed her, and he cries out for Robin and all that stuff.
His little sister.
Well, actually, I think they were twins.
I don't know. Well, twins. Okay, let's say his sister then. Okay.
Yeah.
His sister. He felt that they should have been punished. So, vengeance be mine, saith the Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. So in this is one. According to some people, they say this is the most. Let me see. What did they call it? The producers described this movie as. Let me see. This is probably the most famous for being one of the only slasher movies with the sympathetic killer in.
Well, I read something similar. It's one of the few slasher films that actually gives you a real reason for the slasher to have a motive to actually do what he or she's doing.
Yeah, in most of the other movies,
there's no
it's
reason.
not a really good enough reason.
Yeah.
I mean, they tried to make a past story sometimes, and it doesn't make sense why they're going out and killing every single person.
Michael Myers didn't really have a reason to kill all those people. Jason Voorhees didn't have a real reason to go kill all these strange people.
Well, Bloody Valentine didn't have a good enough
exactly
reason
right.
either.
So why pick on all these other people, But this one here, he just wanted to get the four people who were responsible for his sister's death. Not say murdering her, but responsible for her death, and they weren't punished or didn't own up to it. And
I like to think that
a vigilante, if you will.
So Alex dies in his sister's arms, and I like to think in the aftermath, if there was one, I'm just saying that Nick would be probably punished for what's this? We were discussing it this last night, whether or not Nick and his friends were what their crime, whether it was second degree murder or just
I'm not a student of law. However, I was discussing this with Sarah about the levels of accountability. So, what murder is, what second degree murder is, what manslaughter is, and death by misadventure.
Yeah.
Now, those kids playing that would not be first-degree murder, and I shouldn't think it'd be second-degree murder, because they didn't really murder her. They were playing and teasing her, and they forced her against a window, but the window broke and she fell through it. Now, that could be deemed to be involuntary manslaughter or death by misadventure, I think. So the kids wouldn't have really gotten any serious trouble.
I think the bigger
Yeah,
problem is
yeah.
that they,
Yeah.
I think they held back information from the police.
And then the point, if they told the police, well, we were playing and she ran over there and landed against the window and the window gave away, there wouldn't have been anything else.
I
But
like to
because
think.
they hid it, Nick,
Yeah,
now
Nick.
Nick was annoyed that his sister's death.
No,
Not
Nick, Alex.
Alex was annoyed that his sister's death was not really the people who did it or responsible for it weren't held accountable.
Yeah,
So
and
so he held them accountable.
I like to think that when probably Nick does come forward, he probably would have told his dad, and his dad would probably be both shocked that his own son did this crime.
A crime.
If not a crime, it's considered what we discussed, manslaughter.
Well, what the kids did was, I'd say, death by misadventure.
Yeah.
Or manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah, and I read somewhere
but,
that you can go to jail if you hold back information. Maybe not
You
for
can be.
full
I don't
term,
know, going to
maybe.
jail. You can be charged for withholding information, but kids would have been underage. I don't think they would have got 12-year-old kids and say, well, you're going to get a criminal charge because you withheld information in a criminal investigation. Kids aren't adults; they're not responsible for their actions. They wouldn't have gotten into too much trouble at all. If they all spoke up and said, we were playing here and she fell out the window, that would have been it.
But the kids didn't understand it. They thought
We'd get in trouble.
they thought they were
exactly.
they murdered her, and then I doubt they didn't.
They didn't murder her. That's the whole point. But the point is, in a kid's mind, they think, well, we killed her, but they didn't really kill her. She died because of their actions. So she was trying to get away from them. That's it. So anyway, irrespective.
Yes.
I mean, Alec, he would have gone to jail.
Yeah, that would have been first degree murder for what he's did.
Definitely premeditated. See, he killed that Slick as well, and he wasn't even one of them. He was just
He was a witness.
He was a witness to one of the murders. So get rid of him as well.
Another witness I should mention, the janitor. He was drinking a lot of whiskey or scotch, and he says in one of the scenes there is a killer running loose, all that stuff.
And everyone thought he was just drunken or off his tits or something.
I imagine if there was an investigation, they'll question him, and he probably would.
I saw some person running around and blah blah blah.
And he probably went to the janitor's closet and saw the dead body of Kelly. And
well, possibly.
it may even incriminate him, because considering that he had probably maybe a criminal record, supposedly.
He wouldn't have had a criminal record because he's Kelly's dad actually said. Kim's dad, who was his principal, said no, he's been checked out. There's nothing wrong with him. He's not creepy. He does they would have done police checks and everything else on him.
True.
So a creepy guy is a creepy guy. We used to have a creepy guy at the local post office here. He was the weirdest guy I've ever come across, and he was just mentally strange. He wasn't a killer. He wasn't anything else. He's just a weird man. And so
Yeah, so that's pretty much all of the movie I can think of. But I do think that a lot of things may have happened after it that kind of makes you wonder if Kim would still date Nick at the end, or
I don't
if
know.
she found out the truth that Nick and her ex-friends were
that's the whole
responsible.
point is they didn't really kill her sister.
Although Nick at one point when they were having a lunch break, they were on the cliff and they were talking, and she was discussing how Robin would have been either a junior at this time, and this will be her first prom if she didn't die. And Nick wanted to own up to what he and what the others did, but he couldn't probably put it into words.
No. Anyway. Irrespective.
Again, I think he was the only one who probably felt very guilty for what they did, and he felt probably felt this guilt throughout the time he spent at the school or at Kim's house when he saw a picture of Robin on a mantle.
Yep.
And he was probably thinking he wished he could have he could have
yeah.
changed things.
Yeah. What's it? Yeah, but anyway, you're reading too much into it. It was a movie, okay? Hello.
I know. I just like to think that there's more to the characters than meets the eye.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what I am. I usually like to examine them thoroughly.
Put it under a microscope, dissect them.
Yeah, and as I
This
said
is
before,
such a movie, folks.
The producer's son, the producer Peter R. Simpson's son, Brock. What's his name?
Brock.
Stephenson played
Simpson.
Simpson.
He said Stephenson.
Sorry, Simpson. He played the younger version of Nick in this movie.
Okay.
In the other movies that followed, the second, the third, and the
He's
fourth
older and
one,
he
played
an old drop.
co-star roles and
yeah.
a few, and
Okay.
in the fourth one, he played a murder slasher killer in that one.
Yeah. He's been promoted. Oh, isn't that lovely?
Yeah, I gotta admit that's kind of cool.
Okay. Well.
How they got him involved, I'll never know.
Yeah.
Unless the producers from the original asked him if
Look, if you're in the industry, dad's a producer or a director, blah, 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 you might get into acting classes, you might do this, yada, 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 yada. And a word in someone's ear might give you a chance to, we're going to make this movie, and you put your hand up, that's Fred's son, let's say, give him a go, and do a tryout.
Yeah.
An audition, yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
Does he hold the role?
Yes.
Why not?
Anyway, Casey, the guy who plays Nick in this movie, as the adult Nick,
Yeah.
he died of AIDS after this movie 6 years later.
That's
He
no
could
good.
have made himself a big name, but sadly enough,
Yeah,
this
Casey
happened.
Stevens, yeah, it's sad, yeah.
Yeah, he could have made himself a very big name. It's sad when you think about
Yeah.
actors who don't make it or try to make it, and then they lose, don't get around to it.
He would have been very old. Would have been in his 20s, maybe. Damn. Anyway, irrespective, so we're doing a slash movie.
And another thing about Jamie and Casey, who were playing on-screen couple in this film, they briefly dated during the production behind the scenes.
Okay.
So they were a bit of a couple on and off the camera.
Aha. There you go. Not hanging out together and stuff and whatever. And
I guess it helps if you were, say, auditioning in the roles. You have to develop a really good chemistry.
Well, it would help, yeah. It's sort of like if you're going to be like in the Brady Bunch. The guy played the father, Buggerlugs. Reed? Something Reed?
Yeah.
Anyway, if you had to get a role like that, it'd be really good to get some rapport happening with the kids. So you think, even though you're not really the father, you'd be there, you have a couple of meals together and have an outing together and try to break down that, a bit of icebreaker there so you can get a bit more comfortable with each other. Yeah. So I suppose it's really good to get together.
Yeah. Anyway, interesting thought is when you're talking about the Brady Bunch guys, Dad.
Yeah.
Mike. Didn't you tell me a while back that when they were doing the role for Kim,
Yes.
that one of the kids from the Brady Bunch was auditioned for this role in this role.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I mentioned it. Aren't I clever?
And that's why I brought it up.
Where I had written down here somewhere. Just give me a moment, folks. Got some notes. I got about 6 pages of notes here. Casting. Here we are. Right. Okay. Okay. Eve Plum from the Brady's Bunch. She was going to be. She was auditioning for the role of Kim, but when Jamie Lee Curtis was put up for the role, expressed interest, and having Halloween already under her belt, she had experience in doing a horror movie. The other lady, Eve Plum, wouldn't have got a look in because she was coming out of a sitcom. So you take the best one for the job. Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. Nothing against Eve, don't get me wrong. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the girl from Little House on the Prairie who played the older sister. She was in a
the older
slasher.
sister, yeah.
Called
She's
Happy
an attractive
Birthday.
girl. Yeah, I can't remember her name now. But she was very attractive. Anyway,
Oh yeah, and Jamie Lee Curtis did her own stunts in the end of movie.
and dance routine. I did make comments about her having a really hot body, and look, I'm not sexist or anything, but when they do movies like that, they always seem to get the main females in the show to be really, really nice, well built, athletic, and and that sort of stuff.
I think
They
that's the
always
point.
do. They never get somebody built like me. I'm about 20 or 30 kilos overweight. They get somebody who looks really, really fit and really good, and it gets down to what I talk about it several times: eye candy. And if the people look good on screen, and she does, and the guys and the other girls did, they all look good. They all look like the right age. I mean, you get someone like Michael J. Fox, who was playing a teenager in a television program, I can't remember what it's called now, and in the Back to the Future movies, he wasn't a kid. He was actually an adult playing a kid, but he got away with it. But these were all young people actually who were young, being young in young roles, as far as I'm aware, all of them.
Yeah, anyway, so as I was saying, there was a famous quote in this movie that kind of was used over and over in the last 4 movies.
I've got a bad feeling about this. No.
It's not who you come with, it's who takes you home.
Okay.
It was used by Wendy in the scene where she is talking down at Kim during the time in this sort of...
Yeah, it's who you go home with, not who you come with.
And there was a scene there where she was just...
Trying to intimidate her.
Why
not?
And this very dialogue is used in all 3 other movies. Except for probably the remake, obviously. Also, Brock was never in the remake, the one that was in 2008.
Actually, if you look at the remake, it's not really a remake. It's a totally different storyline.
Agreed.
So if people say it's a remake, it's not even a reboot. They just borrowed the name. And, get a new name,
Well, bear in mind, Mike, it's a popular name. It's.
But they're using the name to push a movie, which has got nothing to do with the original movie.
I think it was intended for those other movies that came after the Prom Night. They tried to find the ideal name to sell those movies or pitch them to the audience. And unfortunately, it probably either worked or didn't worked against them. Anyway, what did the reviews say about this movie?
Oh, look, there's quite a lot of review stuff. I'm not going to go through all of them, but basically, an underlying theme in the reviews, the reviewers are idiots. They said, "Oh, this story here has borrowed from Halloween and Carrie."
Oh gosh.
Well, which bit of Carrie? Carrie had a female being victimised by a whole school, and they had a prom, and she got vengeance at the prom. How many times have you had a prom in a movie? Gee, Dance of the Dead, that's got a prom in it. Hello? I mean, I don't think there's too much there of any Carrie come into it. And if you look at, what's the one I just said?
Halloween.
Halloween. Which bit? I mean, you got somebody running around killing people.
Bear in mind, they probably just picked up because Jamie Lee Curtis is in this
but
one.
the storylines are totally different.
True.
Hello.
You have a stalker who...
Yeah, you had a stalker who was killing these people in Halloween, who was, and wasn't he, the original guy who, Halloween, was he an escapee from a mental institution?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, where's the similarity? I'm sorry. It's okay, people running around being killed.
And that was dealing with babysitter
the first Halloween was in a street. The streetscape in houses and stuff had enough to do with the school. Where are these people coming from?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm at a loss.
I mean, when I look at Halloween, sometimes I do. When I look at Prom Night, I always think whenever I look at the trailer or the movie, that I always think of instantly Carrie. Obviously, I guess that's probably what the reviewers have been thinking of when they look
there's
at
no
it.
similarity. Carrie was a weird girl who no one liked and teased her. And then she just happened to be a supernatural lady who killed everybody.
True.
Yeah. Hello. I was looking for something here in my notes here. This movie was actually done, shooting was done, I think it went about 24 days worth of shooting.
24 days. Ooh.
Yeah, and a lot of the people in it weren't in the same scene, so they didn't have to have everybody there all the time at the same time. Because he obviously had their running around through the rooms there, not being stalked. We had only 2 people. So he didn't have to have them all on deck at the same time to do their bits. But I think about 24 days they did all the principal shooting.
I see.
Yeah. And you mentioned a bit about the original building. That was supposed to be a convent or something or other.
Oh.
It was actually a prison type building, like a prison farm. Yeah, I'm just wondering. It reminded me whether a place like that was on Ghost Adventures. So I don't know if there's quite a few of those sort of prison farms and other things out there. I'm going to go and check that later. But yeah, interesting. Yeah. Hang on. Anyway, I've got some stuff here. They had a lot of people there from local colleges and actors out of local film and acting schools and whatever. So a lot of them are newbies who are in, maybe not the DOPs and whatever, but a lot of them were newbies at it and they did quite well. Very impressed. Very impressed. Yeah. Anyway, irrespective, I'm having trouble talking, guys, and I've done about 50 minutes of yabbering, and so is Sarah, and I'm having trouble. I really need to take a break. So I think...
Should we rate it now,
I
do you
think it's right. Look, okay, I would say this would be not the goriest movie, but it's probably the best one with a storyline. Now, some people want gore. More blood, you're really good. More heads being chopped off, everything, limbs going here and there. Okay, fine. But this one, to me, has got a good storyline. It's got pretty decent acting, believable characters, everything else, and the production crew have done a pretty good job. So I'm going to give it 9.5.
I'm going to give it 10.5. I mean,
10.5. She can't count the 10 yet.
But I do think that.
Yeah.
No, maybe not 10.5. 10 out of 10 would be good.
10 out of 10, yeah.
I mean, I do like the storyline.
I'll give it 11.
And I do like the fact that it deals with a good story and a good polished story, which is
I like to have a storyline. I mean, it's really good. I mean, I'm not knocking anyone who makes a movie and gets straight into it. Don't get me wrong, but if you're going to have a slasher movie or a zombie movie, how about a bit more of a storyline in there and a bit of character development thrown in there so it actually tells the story as well as seeing heads being lopped off and people being killed and chopped up little pieces. Some storyline. It'd be really nice. And that's where some of the new guys haven't got it.
Yeah.
And it gets back not just to the independents and not just newbies. Even the major studios are falling behind on this. You need to develop a decent storyline, and that's what grabs most people. You got a good storyline, you hook the people. You don't hook the people, it doesn't matter what you got, no one's going to give a damn. Okay, that's it. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, it's I mean, I did like the fact that this killer didn't just randomly kill anyone that came in. Well, maybe except for
it was
Slick and maybe Lou, who was a practical jerk.
I would have killed Lou anyway.
I would have killed him if
but he
I
was an accident. He it was a mistake because he was dressed as the other guy.
It would have been funny
where
if
he was supposed to be, and he killed him accidentally.
And he was practically a bully to Kim and Alex.
He was a real a-hole. I can't say the other word. Might get in trouble.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
Yeah.
so I might as well cut.
yeah, we might call it. I'm having trouble breathing.
So I might as well cut this video short for tonight.
It's not a video.
I mean, this podcast. So, thanks for listening to this latest episode, guys, and feel free to be sure to check out all the prom nights, and let us know in the comments which one's your favorite.
And if you're a recent listener to these podcasts, we've got over 100 up our sleeve now. You might want to go online and have a look at some of the earlier ones they've done.
Yes, exactly.
Are they all there?
Yeah, all there.
Okay, you got a lot of listening. Okay.
So,
Anyway.
Thanks for listening. This is Sarah Stephenson.
And Michael.
Saying see you guys for the next one.
Cough, cough, cough. Bye.
Bye.